Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I'm in this limbo zone of Schrodinger's diagnosis. Like, do I have autism or ADHD or both or none or only one or the other? Maybe the diagnosis is already set. Maybe it's not. We don't know. And I will only know in 2 weeks. So, this is a weird situation to be in. But anyway, I woke up yesterday with a headache because of everything that happened the day before, and it was a lot. Because I had a lot of process, and I'm so glad, I'm so thankful for my friend, my best friend. After leaving the psychiatrist, I kind of wandered around town, kind of lost. My head was pretty empty, and I felt like I was about to cry, but I couldn't cry, and I didn't know what to do. I ended up sitting in a really loud cafe, and I had to put my earphones in, my earplugs, my loops, and I read a little bit. I read Proust until the end, so I'm done with that book. I also then went to my best friend's house, and that was really good. We sat on a hill watching the sunset, and there was a cat in the field, and it felt like the last summer evening before autumn came, and it was beautiful. Unfortunately, I ruined the moment by crying during it, because it is kind of overwhelming. It's a earth-shattering thing to completely shift perspectives on everything that has ever happened to me in my life. So I don't have the diagnosis yet, but it seems like things are pointing in that direction. Towards an autism diagnosis and no ADHD diagnosis. And I don't know, I kind of realized I was getting all these regrets. Like, there are so many ways I could have done things differently had I known that I didn't need to follow the regular path. I have talked about this before, but I mean, I did what everybody expected of me all the time, and expectations has been like the whole thing about my life. I've just gone. It's not like somebody expected me to go to medical school, but I think I sort of had the need to compensate for the fact that I'm shitty at a lot of things, and that I don't have skills in many areas where a lot of people are just natural, where I overcompensated by trying to excel in what I was good at, which was school. And so I went to medical school, like the most complicated sort of school. And, the longest school career, So yeah, I got through, I got through school, I got through high school, had good grades, I kept going. I went to medical school, first in France for a semester, and then I went to Sweden and continued medical school, 5.5 years of that. And then I went to and I worked in order to get my internship so that I could then get my residency. And I just kept going and kept going. And now I'm almost there, I'm almost at the end, My residency might be like 3 more years or something. I'm almost there. And then that's when my body and mind decide to crash. And that's when I'm realizing that I didn't need to do all that. I could have become a more well-rounded, self-aware, self-developed, healthy person had I known about this. But would I really have changed things? I don't know. It's difficult to start over now, you know, because I'm so snowed into my path, you know. How can I not work as a doctor now? I've invested 10 years of my life into this. I don't have skills in other areas, and my life is really boring. And that's where I started crying, because I was like, my life is so boring. I don't even know how to have fun. I guess that this is a midlife crisis kind of thing. A quarter life crisis? I don't know what this is. But by trying to lead a normal life, of course, it was going to be boring, because I did not have the capacity to do the normal thing with the same ease and natural stuff as neurotypical people. So I've had to overcompensate on working on those things, and therefore I haven't been able to work on my interests, on things that actually make me happy, on that kind of thing. Because neurotypical people have that extra energy to do that. Well, for me, it was just like I was just trying to get going, you know, get through it, get through life. But I was never really experiencing and enjoying life. It's just I was doing these things that I had to do that other people managed to do easily, you know. And then I did go through medical school, which most people have trouble with, which I will admit, but at the expense of everything else. And so, yeah, I just felt like, gosh, I don't want to keep living like this. I don't want to keep working. And I know I'm very privileged to think this way, because my life has been pretty much trauma-free. I mean, everybody has their own little traumas, but it's not like I had these huge traumatic life events, you know. My life has been very cushy, you know, very, you know, I was never in terrible poverty. I was never, you know, I always knew that I could count on my parents and such. But having a disability, it does set you back, you know. It doesn't. The only way I've managed to get through so far, you know, the only way I managed to get through medical school the way that I did was because my parents helped pay for it. Or they didn't pay for the tuition, because in Sweden it's free, but they paid for my rent for 5 years. I mean, that's not a lot of people can do that, you know. And I am aware that this is not accessible to many people. So I would have crashed much earlier had I not had all the support that I had. So I am very thankful for all the support, and very grateful that I was never in need. I was never abused. I was never, you know, going through terrible trauma and terrible things and all these setbacks. But yeah, so by a certain point, at a certain point, you can't keep on going. You know, there will be something that will stop you. And I was just living life as a zombie, you know. And so when I broke down crying, my friend actually, you know, he just patted me on the shoulder and such. And he said, "No, but your life isn't boring. You do these things that you find fun." And I couldn't realize, like, what he was talking about. He said, "You know, you um, read books and you go on your walks and you're really interesting and you have a YouTube channel. You know, it's not that many people who could say that." And he said, "Sometimes you do HelloFresh even, you know." And, you know, it's sad, but these are accomplishments for me, you know? You know, it's not like I think a lot of people would find these small things that I do to just be like regular things, you know, but I think that it is really big of me that I'm able to branch out a little bit when my brain has always been against the world I live in, you know? Um, and that's what my friend said, that he said he was sorry that I was given so many struggles inside my mind, you know. He said that you deserve to be happy. And he said that I've always been trying so hard. And you know, we know each other very well. We've been friends for 10 years now, more. And we know each other more than certain married couples do, you know? And, you know, he doesn't understand a lot of what's going on in my brain because, um, you know, I'm an INFP and I'm autistic and all of that. Um, and he's not. Um, but it did seem that he sees me, you know, in that. And my friend does believe in God, and he believes that we all are given struggles and like a path from God, you know. And I'm glad that he didn't talk about God because it gets on my nerves in certain cases. But I think that I know that he's coming from that place with that perspective. And I have to say that it is a little bit comforting in this case. There's like, oh, um, there is a reason for this. I'm not I'm not just struggling. Like my life is has to be for some purpose. Because otherwise it's easy to give up because I feel like a very useless person a lot of the time because I don't have all these abilities. That, it's difficult for me to develop new skills compared to certain people, It's just things are hard for me to learn, I guess. Um, for example, I'm very clumsy, so it's like difficult for me to learn practical physical skills. Um, and, if we believe in God or in some force in the universe or something, that's giving us, there are people with disabilities, a lot of people around the world that have disabilities. And yet, they they all deserve to live. They all deserve the help that they need in order to have a good life. So why can't I give myself the grace to, treat myself with kindness? I do deserve to be here, despite not being able to grasp basic life skills, I'm trying, but I don't need to always be trying at 100% of my ability, It's enough with just trying, 5% of my ability. Just the fact that I am trying a little bit means that I deserve to live, I haven't given up completely on things. Like, there's this thing, your value isn't just in your productivity. But I don't think that you don't need to be measured by your productivity, even though capitalism says so. But I don't think it's only that. I think that we don't need to, our worth is not even measured in how much, in how many skills we have. Our worth isn't even measured in how much, like in how far we have come, or in the strength of our relationships, or anything like that. Those are all results, I think that we're worth living just because we exist, and because we are trying even just a little bit of our will to live, a little bit of our energy is used towards trying or to be better than we are. We don't need to try to be our best at all times. We can try being a little bit, we can try to be good, And I think I ended up going unconsciously after leaving my the psychiatrist's office. Unconsciously, I ended up going very near to where the bench where I broke up with my ex-INFJ friend. An INFJ who was my best friend but isn't anymore because he darn slammed me. I didn't end up sitting on that bench, but in a bunch quite close to that area and looking at the same beach. But he was a beautiful soul, and he had great song recommendations, and one of the songs was Alanis Morissette, That I Will Be Good. And the striving of trying to be good is, I didn't really understand it when he was talking about it, but I think that that's kind of what I'm feeling right now, that we have worth just because we are trying to be good. And goodness does not mean like, being morally pure or whatever. It just means trying to be good, And I think we have all this focus on like what you are able to give to the community, whether it's through your job or through volunteering or through skills or through your relationships with other people or whatever. But no, it's, our worth and our existence doesn't need to be defined by these things. We're worth existing just because we are trying, and in the way that we can. And it's like, I don't want to take away the fact that I have all of these supports and I am in a privileged situation. But at the same time, I need to be kind to myself in that there are certain things that I need help with. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm worthless. It doesn't mean that I'm worth less because of that. Because I'm not capable of certain things. And so even though I'm capable of certain things, does it mean automatically that I am capable of other things that might seem obvious, Just because I am capable of doing certain work as a doctor does not mean that I know how to, cook a meal from scratch, just because somebody is great at driving a car does not mean that they will be great at like driving a boat, it's, these things do not go hand in hand, autism has this spiky profile thing where you can be really good at a certain thing and really bad at another thing. Well, neurotypical people or autistic people are more like a little bit good at a lot of different things. And yeah, so I just need to be kind to myself. But it is difficult because we are in this world that is, difficult for me to navigate because I have issues with the social world and with the physical world. Both as an autistic person and as an INFP. And I have difficulty with, perspectives. My perspective shifts often, but it's hard sometimes because I get into like this really dark perspective sometimes, and that's where my depression comes and then makes things like everything seem impossible and difficult. But it's worth it. It's worth the living. And it's worth striving for things. But we need to be aware that sometimes we have limited capabilities, and it's not a death sentence, you know? And it doesn't mean that I'm worthless because of that. And so what if I have a boring life? It's my life, and I can put more exciting things that I find exciting in there. And I can try working on certain skills that I find would help me in my life. But I don't need to feel terrible because I have a hard time picking up on new skills. And sure, I might be lazy, I might have difficulties with some things. But that doesn't mean that I'm worthless, you know? Sometimes sometimes it's like, why does everybody put so much pressure on each other? Let me live a boring life. It's okay, you know? It only affects me. But in reality, my life isn't as boring as I think that it is. Or that other people think that it is. Because they don't know all the thoughts that have gone into the things that I'm doing, you know? So yeah. Anyway, that's all for today. It is a difficult period that I'm going through right now. I'm trying to distract myself without detaching completely from the world. I need to keep on living, doing things. I found out that I might be doing my gynecology placement in January, which is really positive because otherwise I'll have to wait until the end of 2026 to do my placement. And yeah, I really do want to see how it is in gynecology. Also, with the fact that I didn't get my placement in this other town for internal medicine, which really put me down and made me feel really terrible about just being a pawn in my program leader's schemes, you know. But I'm trying to not think about that too much either. I need to focus on just like doing the things that I do, meeting the people that I do at my job. There are some pretty wonderful, beautiful stories that I get to be a part of every day. And I need to, focus on that, focus on the present, not worry so much about what the future is going to bring. So I'm going to be going to gynecology course next week, which will distract me a bit from everything that's happening. It has been difficult, and it will still be difficult because my supervisor is gone on holiday, and she has been the person who's been like holding me grounded in the world. But yeah, I need to show you the sunset. It's beautiful, guys. Okay, so that was that. I don't have much more to say. Let me sit back down. Sorry, I think that those pictures behind me, maybe I should rearrange them so that I don't have private parts in the anatomical picture behind me. But yeah, it is a very good thing that I have this channel so that I can ponder these things out loud. I'm trying to get the time with my psychologist, but it's really difficult. And I got the time, and then now I have to do this gynecology course. So we'll see when I get to meet him next time. Maybe I get to meet him after I already have a diagnosis. I don't know. But yeah, so I need to believe that we're going to get through it. I'm really thankful for my best friend and all you guys being so supportive. It brings me comfort to know that there are people around that care and that know me enough to trust me. And yeah, I don't really know what my next videos will be about. I have some that are already in the queue. But hopefully, you know, I'll be able to get back to some MBTI stuff. At the moment, I can barely talk about autism things or MBTI things or any of that in general, because I feel like it's already taking so much of my brain space. I usually watch a lot of MBTI videos and autism videos, but I've had to block that out. I've even had to block out the cult videos because they're pretty triggering in some aspects, I guess. But yeah, I will be back soon with whatever goes through my mind, I guess. So yeah, stay tuned.